which is an interesting theoretical part. Most of you from the systems and network background, you might have a good understanding on the DNS concept. All right, so let's discuss that first. Maybe 1.5 hours we'll discuss the theoretical part and also see the practical for DNS. Then we'll get into the advanced networking, which is the VPN concept. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we have got almost all the audience. Okay, good. So I was just summarizing what we were discussing last couple of days. Okay, I was just outlining, since I saw like less participants, I was just outlining it. Let's discuss Route 53 first, which is the DNS service from Amazon. Okay, and then we'll get into the VPN concept. Okay, so Route 53, and this is the Amazon Web Services native DNS solution or native service, which is globally distributed. Some services, as I told you the other day, like S3, Route 53, these are all services which are not pertaining to specific region. Okay, these are all globally distributed services. If I go to Route 53, automatically you can see that this particular service gets turned into a global service rather than a regional service. Okay, so Route 53 is a DNS management service. Okay, and many of you know that DNS stands for domain naming system or domain name system. Okay, so some people call it as domain naming service also, so that's fine. Okay, but this is domain name system, and the reason Amazon has used the name Route 53, port number 53 is used for, port number 53 pertains to DNS. So DNS port number is 53. So that's the reason they have used Route 53 as the name. And Route 66 is a transport that they use in US for interstate bus transport. Okay, so they have picked up some name. So that's the historical information. So we don't have to get too much into it. But if you want to route the traffic using DNS service, they are providing a service called Route 53 in Amazon Web Services. This is a native service. And in on-premises, if you want to have a DNS system, generally what you do, you go and have a Windows server, or you go and have a Linux system, and you go and install the DNS service. Either you can have a standalone DNS service, or you can have a AD integrated DNS in Windows system. Okay, along with Active Directory role promotion, you can also have DNS. But on Linux, you can also go and have a bind package installed, and you can set up a Linux, a DNS system, right? So that is how we generally do it. So we need to have a OS, we need to have a role installed, and then we configure it. But in the cloud, this comes as a ready-made service. We don't have to go and set up any operating system, or we don't have to install any roles. It comes as a readily available service. Okay, it's a PaaS offering. It's a platform as a service offering. So it comes with the platform readily available. The DNS platform is ready to consume here. So the platform here represents DNS as a service is an option where it eliminates the need for going and creating a server, installing the OS, installing the roles. You don't have to do that. So all those things are managed and provided by Amazon. See, on the back end, they are using some IPAM appliances like Infoblox or something similar to that. They are using a backend IP address management device on the backend to provide the service. Okay, for us, like the front end is the Route 53 console. It is a globally distributed console. It's not a regional stuff. It's a globally distributed service, and the purpose of that is to route the end users to respective applications. See, at the end, business will provide all their services through their web application or through their business application. So we have to route the end users to their respective business or business application, right? So that's the purpose of this Route 53. That's why we call it as Route 53. Okay, routing the end users traffic to their business application. Okay, why we can use Route 53? As I told you, it's a highly available service by default. It's not going to have single point of failure. It's a clustered platform, so it has got a lot of backend redundancy. It's a highly available, it's a redundant system. And based on the increase in number of records or number of zones, it automatically scales up. It is auto scalable. And the important thing with Amazon Web Services Route 53, they also give you domain name registration, which is something which other provider doesn't provide. Like if you compare it with Microsoft Azure, they provide zone concept, they provide DNS zone concept, which is equivalent to Route 53, but they don't provide you domain name registration. So Amazon is also a domain registrar. So meaning they can also provide you domains that you need. For example, if you want to purchase something called peter.com or benjamin.com, you can just go and purchase that domain from Amazon Route 53 itself. It also provides you domain registration option. So you can also go and register a domain and maintain the domain within Amazon itself. Okay, Amazon Route 53 itself. That's the another advantage you get when you go for Route 53. So the domain registration and the domain management can happen in one single console. Okay, which is unlike a good feature compared to the other competitors in the cloud market. And Route 53, it also provides you health check option. So you can also configure health checks for your application endpoint, or you can configure ICMP endpoint monitoring, or you can use this particular Route 53 service to monitor the health check also. Okay, you can monitor the application, you can monitor the availability of your servers, devices, and so on. So it gives you option to have health checks integrated into the Route 53. And also you have a lot of different traffic routing options or traffic policies. For example, if someone is connecting from US, you can redirect it to US location, or if someone is accessing through the VPN, they have to connect it to some specific device. So you can also configure how your traffic should flow, or like where exactly it should destined to. So all those routing algorithms or routing policies are available. We'll see these things in practical today. And we can also directly import the on-premises DNS zone files, like the DNS .zone file, or if you have Windows DNS, you have DNS CMD command through which you can export the configuration into a file. Similarly, bind also gives you a option to export the DNS zone file. You can copy those two different forward lookup and reverse lookup zone file into the Route 53 directly. Okay, so that is a good option actually. So you can either, if it is a Windows standard DNS, or if it is a bind, you can directly go and copy those two files which are pertaining to forward lookup and reverse lookup. So if you have worked on DNS, you might have seen, right? There will be two DNS files for the forward lookup and the reverse lookup. So you can import those DNS files, and you can import all the record, like A record, PTR record, whatever the system that we have created, or whatever records we are maintaining in your on-premises DNS system. All those can be imported directly into cloud. Okay, but there are some limitation with Route 53, but that is very big numbers. For example, like in Route 53, we can have up to 500 hosted zones. Okay, 500 different domain names. Okay, that is what hosted zone is all about. And we can have up to 10,000 resource record per hosted zone. Okay, so I think this numbers might have changed, but there are some limitations in terms of how many resource records we can have, how many hosted zones we have. So there are some limitation, but that is like very huge. The numbers are very huge. Okay, and so any idea, like any other okay, let me just help you understand this first. Let's go and look at the console. So let's go back one step. So when you log into Route 53, you get these many options on the left. You have got an option to go and create a hosted zone. So unlike your on-premises DNS management, if you compare it with your on-premises, okay, DNS management happens in a different way in on-premises. In on-prem, we have two different zones created. So we call it as lookup zones. And within the lookup zones, we go and have like forward lookup zone for some of the forward entries, forward lookup zones. And within the forward lookup zones, we might have records like A record, PTR record, SRV record, NS record, and so on. And sorry, not PTR record. Okay, so except of PTR record, we'll have many of those records in forward lookup zone. And we'll have a reverse lookup zone where we will have IP address to name association like PTR records and so on. This is how we manage DNS in on-premises. In your Windows or in your Linux system, we go and have two different lookup zones, and we'll go and look into the A record and the SRV record and the text record, all those things in the forward lookup zone. Similarly, on the reverse, we'll have the PTR record and the reverse pointer records, right? In the cloud, we don't have such classification. Instead, we call it as hosted zone, which will host all the records from forward lookup and reverse lookup. We don't have two different zones here. Instead, we'll have something called hosted zone, which will have all the records pertaining to that particular domain. So, for example, like we have A record, we have got PTR record, we have got service locator records, CNAME, canonical name, alias record, we have got SRV. This is like a very big list, okay? And by default, whenever you go and create a zone, either in Azure platform or AWS platform, by default, you will get two different records, name server record, which is nothing but your DNS server record, okay? And also you have start of authority, which server is the first server or the start of authority system. Okay, you'll have two different records by created by default whenever you go and create a zone in on-premises or in the cloud. The NS record and SOA record, these are the two default records. But these records will be based on your services. If you want to have some LDAP service on server or some Kerberos service running on a server, it will differ on which system you are going to host. Similarly, if you want to have all the client devices, server devices maintained into DNS, you'll go and create a record. So A record will have all the host related details, host related names and its respective IP address detail. That is what A record will have, right? And similarly, PTR will have IP address to name mapping, which IP addresses are connecting to which particular host name, which particular hosts actually. So that is the reverse entry. And service locator will have all the services where exactly the LDAP services are hosted or where exactly your Kerberos and different services are located. It's a service locator record. And canonical name is your alternate name, or you have this particular record for calling your systems by different names and so on. So there are other records. Maybe I'll just list down maybe a couple of others which are predominantly used in the IT environment, like text record, MX record, and also we have some records called DNS record for security purpose. And this is for domain name verification. Text record is mainly for domain name verification, and the MX record is for mail exchanging, right? So for your exchange server or for your mail server, you have this MX record. Alias is again the same. Canonical name and alias name are almost the same. There is some small difference that alias record is only found in the cloud DNS concept. In on-premises, we have got only CNAME record, which is canonical name, and in cloud we have alias record. So this is like more or less similar, but in cloud we have a separate concept called alias, which can redirect your name to a service directly. For example, if you have a name, you can point it to a load balancer or to a S3 bucket or to a service directly. But alias record is mainly for one name to another name. Okay, so I'll just give an example. See, if you have a kind of server one.example.com, what you can do is you can have an alias name or canonical name like www.example.com. Instead of server one, you can have any other alternate name. So this is name to name, or FQDN to FQDN is what we generally enter for canonical name. But alias record, it's from one name to a particular service. Okay. So for example, you can have a server name redirecting to a load balancer. You can have a server name redirecting to a S3 service or to a particular database or whatever. Okay, it's name to service is what alias record is used for, but canonical name is used for calling a particular server with a different alternate name, or it's a kind of user-friendly name, you can say. Okay, like www.example.com or whatever. So these are the different records that will be hosted onto this particular zone. That's why it is called as hosted zone. In an AWS, for Route 53 to host the record, we create something called hosted zones. This is the DNS management folder or repository. Okay, so hosted zone is DNS repository to host all the records for the particular domain. Okay, so let's go and explore a little more further. See, before you go and create a hosted zone, you need to have a domain name. Okay, so how do we get a domain name? Generally, I mean, if you go, like maybe I'll just spend a couple of minutes on the historical or the actual fact behind how the domain name works. So globally, there is an organization called ICANN, Internet Connection for Assigned Names and Numbers. So this is the global organization which maintains all the domain names and all the public IP addresses that they are issuing across the globe. And there is a specific organization called IANA, which is responsible for assigning the names that can be used across the internet. Okay, Internet Assigned Naming Authority, IANA. So they are the ones who assign an ID to each of the particular customer who is purchasing that particular domain for their organization use. Okay, so in order to use a domain name in the internet, we have to go and register it. If you are using it your on premises, you don't have to go and purchase it. For example, like if you want to use something like stan.local or stan.internal, this is like in your internal this is like in your intranet, right? You don't have to go and purchase anything like that. But if you are using a domain in the public space or in the internet space, then you have to go and purchase it. For example, stan.com or stan.org or stan.edu or whatever, right? So like if you look at here, if I want to use any of these domains which are registered domains, you have to go and purchase it from them. Okay, .com, .net, these are the top level domains which we generally use, right? .co, .in or .co.de. So these are some of the top level domains. But now, besides the popular domain, we also have some unique domains. For example, a lot of real estates have come. So we have apartments, we have got associates, we have got a lot of online trading going on. So there are a lot of different business.builders.camera. So you have a lot of domains. There are a lot of internet surveillance cameras and a lot of technology related organizations that are starting. So you have too many domains here. Okay, if you want to get these domain, you have to pay and get that domain. If you are going to use it on the internet web applications, or if you are using it for the internet facing applications, you can go and purchase all these things. These are chargeable. So in order to register a domain, you have to go and purchase that domain first. And if you go and purchase it, it will be registered in this particular database, like the IANS database. And they maintain a database called Whois database. Okay, so this is the backend database behind all the domain name information. So if you go and look at Whois database, it will give you who has purchased that information. Okay, or who exactly owns that particular domain. Okay, so this is the who.is is the location where you can go and check. If you want to go and verify who has purchased let's say google.com, it will give you who has purchased it or who owns that particular name and so on. So it says like google.com is already purchased, and you can see which are the domain name servers, when they have purchased, or when it is going to expire. So until which date they have registered it. All those information are already available here. So Whois is the database where exactly you can find the primary information of who has purchased a particular domain and who is maintaining it or who is owning it. Okay, so if you want to use a particular domain name on the internet space or in the internet facing application, you have to go and purchase that domain name first. And how these names are globally distributed, they use a kind of replication mechanism, or they use a backend network called internic that will go and replicate whatever purchase that we are going. Okay, so internic means inter network information center. So they pass on the information whenever there is a new domain that is being purchased. Every vendor has to get updated with their database, right? All the domain registrar will be connecting their system to the Whois database. So Whois database is the centralized database which will maintain who is purchasing what domain through which vendor. So you can go and purchase it through Amazon, or you can go and purchase it through GoDaddy, or you can go and purchase it through some local vendors like Square Brothers or whatever. But at the end, it is all going to get populated into the master database, which is nothing but your Whois database, right? And whoever is selling the domain, they are all called domain registrar. A lot of network providers, they all provide that. Even Amazon is an example who provides domains nowadays. Okay, there are a lot of providers. But if you want to practice the internet facing application, or if you want to go and purchase some domain, there are a lot of providers who provide free domains on the internet. Mostly I use the Freenom site for getting all the free name or free domain that can be used on the internet. So if you want to use it on the internet, then you have to go and purchase it. If you are already if you are talking about your intranet within your local area network, you don't have to purchase the domain. Instead, you can just go and use it and within your organization, within your virtual private network, right? So I can just go and sign in with my account, and I can just go and show you how to purchase a free domain. Okay, I can sign in with my Facebook ID or Google ID, and I'll be able to get a free domain from the Freenom portal. This is the Netherlands-based company. Okay, so they are a Amsterdam headquarters company. So they provide you domain names. It's like exactly it looks like GoDaddy or Square Brothers or whatever domain registers. They also provide a similar home screen. So you can go to the services and you can go and purchase a new domain, or you can go and register a new domain. So I can go and see how many domains I've purchased. I don't have any domains purchased, but I can just go and register a new domain. Okay, so if I want to use it on the internet, I can just say AWS with Stan. I'll just check AWS with stan.tk or something like that, and it is available for free. Okay, so these domains .ml, .ga, these things are free of cost. But if I want to purchase like for commercial purpose, or if I want to use it on the with .net, .org, and all these things, those are all again chargeable. Okay, but the price might be little different. See, if I go and purchase it through Amazon, let's see. So AWS with Stan.com is $12 in Amazon portal, but here you might get it for $8 itself. Okay, so there are some price difference on when you go and purchase it on the Freenom portal. It's like they provide you free domains as well as they provide you for less price. Okay, so let me go and register this free domain for now. Okay, they provide it for 1 year for free. Okay, so either you can okay, let's give it a minute. Oh, by default, okay, so here you get it for 12 months. 12 months it's free, and after 12 months you can go and renew the domain by paying the money. Okay, for first 1 year this is free of cost, but for your practical or practice, you can definitely use this free domain. 1 year is more than sufficient. Okay, I can just go and say continue, and it is going to ask only the information like about my location and all those things. And you don't need to provide any kind of credit information or whatever. Nothing is needed. Okay, I can just go and complete my order. So once after my completion of the order, I can just go and start using that domain name. Okay, so that's how the domain registration process works. Okay, you can go and get free domain and you can use it in your DNS, or you can also purchase it through Amazon portal itself, but they don't provide you any free domain. Okay, all the domains that they provide is chargeable. Okay, you can also do the exact same thing. You can provide the contact details, you can enter your credit card, and you can purchase it if you're planning to run a service. For example, if I want to run a business in light sail, you definitely need a front-end domain name, right, for hosting all your applications. So you can purchase some domain name from here, whichever is appropriate for your, if you are going to create an organization, or if you're going to create an information website, you can just go and purchase that specific domain. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, any questions from anyone so far?
This one
Yeah,
we need to
Pratik.
pay immediately.
Which one
Usually,
for Amazon?
the domain name. Yeah,
Yeah, in Amazon, yeah, we have to pay for it. Yes.
I mean,
Okay, in
we need to
Amazon,
pay
we
immediately, or it will be part of
no,
billing.
it will be based on your usage. Okay, the pricing will be a little different. So after the first month or whatever, like there are some different things. For purchasing a domain, you have to pay it immediately. But for using the Route 53 service, yeah, you have to pay after end of the month. Okay,
Okay.
I'm not sure which one you are asking about. For purchasing the domain, yeah, you have to pay it immediately. But for the Route 53, you have to pay for actual usage of the hosted zone and the number of queries that are hitting the Route 53, and whatever health checks you are configuring. So these things you will be charged at every month end. Okay, so for the first time you
Okay.
will be paying per month. It will be like 0.50 or 50 cents per month for the hosted zone. So like there are some charges, but some of them you can pay at every month end, or you can pay one time also. Yeah. So
Okay,
coming
thank
back
you.
here, yeah, no problem, sure. So you can go and register the domain, and here we are talking about creating a hosted zone now, right? So let's go and host a zone. So as I told you, hosted zone is to host all your records. Okay, so you are going to host all your records here, and I can just go and enter my, go and create my hosted zone using the domain that I have purchased. Okay, I can just go and say AWS with stan dot tk, and this is the domain name that I have purchased. Okay, so hosted zone is nothing but a folder or a container to hold all your record. Okay, it's a folder. Okay, it's a container. Okay, I can just go and enter my here. I can just say some description: AWS with SAN hosted zone. So there are two type of hosted zone. One you can use internet facing, or one you can use within your Amazon virtual private cloud. There are two type of hosted zone. So the first one is public facing hosted zone, and this can have applications which are internet facing. Okay, and there is another zone which is called private hosted zone. This is only on the intranet, which is within your Amazon VPC alone, within your Amazon cloud. The first one is internet facing. Okay, so public is internet facing zone, and private is internal only, internal to AWS VPC only. Okay, so now let's go and create a public hosted zone. Create it. So some organization, they will have split zone, meaning they will also have the same zone name on the public side as well as on the private side. So they call it a split zone model. So some of the internal record, it will be hosted in the private hosted zone. Some of the internet facing record will be hosted on the public facing zone. So you can have the same zone name for public and private. That's why it is called split zone. So there will not be any conflict. Okay, I'll show you that how to create it. See, whenever you go and create a hosted zone, by default, there will be two record, as I told you, right? So the two records will be NS record and the SOA record. These are the two default record which gets automatically created for any cloud. Okay, so if you look at here, it has created a name server, DNS server record, and start of authority record. So when you go and create a name server, the hosted zone, there will be 4 DNS server that will be assigned by default. Okay, so they will be for different top level popular domains. Okay, so the NS record will be created by default. And similarly, you will have a record called start of authority record, SOA record, that will also be created automatically. This is the first DNS server. Okay, in this particular thing, the first DNS server is this, right? So that will be your start of authority. So always your first DNS server is the start of authority or authoritative DNS server. Okay, so always this is the start of authority, the first server. Okay, it will be the same. Okay, so now whatever additional record you want to have, like a record and other records, you can go and start creating them. See, for example, you can have a record for any servers, like it can be in AWS or Azure or wherever. Okay, let's see if I have some servers in AWS. Okay, I've got one of them is running, one of them is stopped. Okay, that's fine. Okay, luckily I got a web server there. Okay, I can just copy this IP address. I can just go and create a record. Okay, let me duplicate this tab. Let me go to Route 53. Okay, go to the hosted zone, and within your zone, you can go and add additional record. Go and create a record. And here, I'm just going to give it a value. Value will be your IP address, and the name will be name of your system. Okay, Amazon Web Server dot AWS with stan dot tk. Right, so I've created this server for morning session for migration from AWS to Azure. Okay, I'm just copying that name and I'm providing it. Here you can go and select the different record type. These are the records that I was highlighting, right? You got a record, pointer record, you have got a lot of different records. which you can create in AWS. Okay, so I've got these many records, but mostly like we will use only the popular records. So these are the records I was highlighting, right? So you can also create these many additional records. Just for reference, I'm just putting it here. Okay, so 4A record and all, it's for IP version 6. Okay, now similar to your A record is for IP version 4, and 4A record is mainly for your IP version 6 and so on. Okay, IP version 6A record, host record, and DNSSEC is for DNS security record. For protecting your DNS record, you have DNSSEC. Okay, there are these many record types can be created in AWS. I'm going to create the A record. Okay, A record is for fully qualified domain name, host name to IP address resolution. Okay, and you can just change the time to live if you want to reduce the amount of caching for this domain or for this server name. You can reduce the time to live. By default, time to live is 300 seconds. 5 minutes is the default time to live. Okay, a record is the host name to IP address record, or we can say fully qualified domain name. Fully qualified domain name is what? Host name dot domain name. That is the fully qualified domain name, right? To IP address record. And by default, the TTL time to live is 5 minutes, or I will say 300 seconds only. Okay, 5 minutes is what the time to live. You can also change that. If you are having a application which frequently changes the website, or the content gets frequently changed, you can reduce the time to live. Okay, by default there are by default it goes with simple routing policy. There are different routing options that are there. I'll explain that shortly, but for now, by default, all the traffic routing will be based on simple routing. We have other options like geographic and others. I'll come to that later. You can also change the time to live. Okay, if your web application changes for very rarely, you can go and change it to 2 days also. So this is the range of value that it supports, from 1 minute to 2 days. Okay, you can reduce it to 1 minute, or you can increase it to 2 days. This is the value that it is supported. Okay, by default, I'll leave it to 5 minutes, and let me go and create the record. You can also create multiple records in one screen itself. Okay, it is a wizard driven one. I can just go and create record. Okay, now I've created one additional record here. And after doing all this thing, okay, by default, yeah, I have purchased this domain in where I have purchased. I have purchased the domain in Freenom, right? When I go to Freenom, my Freenom domain, they also provide, sorry, they also provide a DNS service also. If you look at here, Freenom also provides DNS service. So the Freenom is a provider who provides domain name, a name for everyone, plus they also provide tools to manage the DNS. And here, I don't want to manage the DNS in Freenom. Instead, I want to manage my DNS in AWS. Okay, so this is redirection. I want to redirect my domain management to, or DNS handling to AWS services. How do I do that? So I'll just show you how to do that. So I don't want to have my DNS management in Freenom. Instead, I want to do my DNS management in AWS. Okay, so this redirection can be done by redirecting the request. Whatever request coming for AWS with stan.tk, it has to be redirected instead of Freenom to AWS. So how do I do that? If I go and look at the options here, I have a name server entry. So instead of using the default Freenom server, I want to use my AWS provided namespace server. See, if I go to my NS lookup now, or my name server lookup, so currently using my broadband thing, I'll change it to Google DNS server. I'm switching to DNS, Google DNS server for fast resolution. So I'm going to check AWS with stan.tk. So as of now, it is, yeah, the domain is already registered. It is already found in the whois database. So now if I go and type something which is not found, it will return an error. See, for example, I will say AWS with stan2.tk. It will say it does not exist. Okay, so it is going and checking the whois database to verify whether this domain is purchased by someone and it is registered in whois database. That is the first check I'm doing. Now I want to check what is my namespace server. Okay, I'm changing the query type, or I'm going to change the lookup type to name server record. In order to change that, I'm typing the command called set type is equal to namespace server or name server. Now, if I go and enter the same domain name, it will give me the output of the namespace servers for that particular domain. So the name server for this particular domain is currently name server 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4 from Freenom site. So Freenom is the current DNS server for my domain. I don't want to use this. Instead, I want to use the Amazon provided DNS namespace. So I can just copy all this content. I can copy the namespace server from Amazon and enter it here. Okay, now if someone goes and type AWS with stand.tk, they will be redirected to Amazon namespace servers. That is what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm redirecting all the incoming requests for AWS with stand.tk to AWS DNS servers. Okay, so I've copied the namespace server and I've entered them. I'm just changing the namespace server. So once the change is successful, you will see a message changes made successfully on the top. Just wait for a second. Yeah, so changes saved successfully. Now the changes are done, but in order for the changes to reflect in the global space, you might have to wait for 1 or 2 minutes. It will be much faster. Okay, it will quickly change. For now, like if I look at the namespace server, currently it has got the free norm. Maybe let me exit of the window. Let me clear and let me try again. It will take at least a minute or two. Okay, set type is equal to NS. Okay, AWS with stand.tk. Perfect. Okay, it has changed to AWS with AWS DNS server, which we entered. This is what we entered exactly, right? So 112.16864.342 and 1687. So these are the 4 server which we have entered. Now the requests are getting redirected. So now if I go and check set type is equal to a record, it can go and fetch all the data from the Route 53 console. See, if I go and query out this one, it will return the IP address 52.75, ends with 75, right? I can go and check that now. Perfect. So it is giving me the IP address answer. So now it is going to the exact DNS management system that I was looking out for. Now, if I go and check the particular FQDN, it should show me the IAS web page for that particular domain. Okay, AWS. Okay, it will take some time. See, as of now, I'm using the DNS server, Google DNS server to verify that. But my local machine will by default it will redirect to my Vodafone broadband. So currently it is not reflecting in my Vodafone. See, I'll tell you why. If I exit it here, by default, my NS lookup will go to the local DNS broadband router. So this broadband router might not be a global, it might not have a proper DNS service. As of now, let me go and paste it. Okay, let me go and paste it. See, it doesn't provide answer. That's why I'm not able to get the answer or a web page. So it will take a minute or two, or else I can just go and connect to some other server or some other machine. Maybe you guys can check from your machine. Maybe it might work. It might already work for you. I'm just putting the link on the chat. Maybe you might be able to see the page already. Maybe if you're using a different provider, Airtel or something, they might be a little faster. I can also go and change my local network adapter to include the Google DNS server so that I can quickly redirect and connect. Is it working for anyone?
Yeah, it's working, Stan. It works.
Yeah. Okay. What is the provider you are using?
What is that? I don't know. I forgot
Fine,
that.
fine. Leave it.
I
It's for
forgot
TK
that.
as well.
Sorry?
It's a AWS to Azure. That is the pair is
Correct.
showing.
Right. Yeah, that is the one. Yeah, yeah. So for me, like Vodafone is a little slower. Okay. So ideally, I was expecting for the AWS to Azure web page. Okay, it's not working for me because my Vodafone router does not have a very quick DNS system. Okay, so it's working. Okay, so that is what it is.
One.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. If you
Yeah.
have, I mean, you have got this thing from Freenom, right? If Freenom
Uh-huh.
website goes down, or if there is an issue, then you won't be able to, because all your these things are getting routed through Freenom and then to the AWS, right?
No, so it is by default. See, there is a catching also for everything, right? It's not that if
Mhm.
Freenom is not available for some time, it is not going to impact your service. Only the domain management. If I want to change something, or if I want to expand or extend or renew the contract or renew the uh, namespace, then you need the portal or Freenom availability. So it's not going to Freenom DNS and coming here. I have directly redirected every request for AWS with stand.tk. Okay,
Okay.
so it is already globally distributed. Now, who is database will have the answer that if someone is accessing anything with which ends with AWS with standard TK, it should go to AWS namespace server. Okay,
Okay.
so if you are if you are concerned that you are having dependency with two different vendor, like you have a
Mm,
dependency now with Freenom and AWS, right? So you can
correct.
ignore that $4, or you can pay additional $4 and purchase it directly from Amazon.
Directly from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me check. Okay, I thought it might work. Let me go and open up an incognito window. Okay, still my local provider. Uh, okay, I can use a proxy, but let me see if I'm able to connect to any of this machine. Okay, here in Azure also I created a couple of machines. Okay, I can also log into this VM. So I'm connecting to a US server. Hopefully the US server will have quicker resolving DNS servers. Okay, so this I used for database migration in the morning. Okay, let me paste the link. No, not this. Okay, this is what I was expecting. Okay, my DNS is very slow. Okay, see if I go and do the same exact NS lookup, it will go through a different DNS server. It is going to Azure, Microsoft Azure DNS server. That will be super fast. Okay, so if you go here and verify that, it is redirecting to this IP. Okay, that is how I'm getting this page. Okay, in my machine it is not working, and that's fine. Okay, so it different provider take its own time to update the DNS, so it's working now in my machine also. Okay, which is good. It took some time, and you can also go and verify it in your command prompt. Now it should give me the answer. See, it is giving me the answer. Even my local broadband router has started redirecting the traffic. Okay, so that's the thing, and you can go and add additional records, as many records as you want. And as I told you, you can also go and import the zone from your on-premises. Okay, so if you have an option called import zone file, if you go and export and import that particular text file or the file from your on-prem, all the records from your on-premises can be imported into the cloud, like it's for migration purpose. See, when you go and install DNS service, it will give you two record files, right? .dns files for the forward lookup and reverse lookup. You can import those two files. Okay, so let me also do one more record. See, I don't want to expose my server name. Instead, I want to directly give something different, like www.aws.stand.tk or some other fancy name. I can just go and create a CNAME record or alias record. So here, instead of AWS with stan or whatever that name, yeah, Amazon Web Server, I want to just give SSH or www or whatever you want to give, you can give that. So instead of Amazon Web Server webserver1.aws with stan.tk, I want to access it using AWS with stan.tk. I can just go and add that record. Okay, this is the canonical record or alias name or alternate name. Okay, now if I go and use this name, it will automatically redirect to sorry, it will automatically redirect to the same page. Yeah. So you can also have some alternate name or alias name for your systems. Okay, this is CNAME record or alias name record or alternate name record. So in cloud, as I told you, you have an option called alias record, which will redirect the traffic for the service level. Okay. Okay. What else we can check? You have the PTR option here, right? PTR is for reverse lookup. Go ahead. What is the question? Okay. So you can have some pointer record also. See, for example, if I want to have some Amazon Web Server 2, and I mean, I don't have a server, but I'm just giving some random IP. I'll just copy some IP here. I'll just give some name, some wrong IP. Okay, but just for verification purpose. Okay, this is for PTR record. It maps an IP address to a particular FQDN or a domain name. I can create a PTR record also. Okay, like this, you can go and create all different records that you need, and you can import, if you have an existing on-premises DNS service, you can also export and import that. And you have a DNS CMD command in Windows, which can also export and give it as a file format. Okay, now if I go and check the other one, okay. So this is the entry which will go to this server. Okay, any questions from anyone so far on what we have discussed? How to create a purchase a domain. We have purchased a domain. We have configured a hosted zone in Route 53, and we have started creating some records, and we are verifying that. Go ahead. No questions?
So for one domain, we can create many records.
Okay. Yeah. You can have a lot of records. If you look at the currently it has got 5 records, right? Maybe there are some limits. Where exactly I can just go and get the limit. 1 minute. So I think it was somewhere around 10,000 or something earlier. Okay, maximum of 10,000 records per. This is what the limit is. 10,000 resource record per hosted zone. This is internet facing, right? You will have some limit there. So this is the limit.
Okay.
That's what I told you here, right? 500 and there, yeah. So let me go to the portal. Okay, so this is for security purpose. If you want to protect the record from getting changed or tampering, you can just go and create a DNS security signing. That is again additional charging. And you can also configure query logging. That is additional charges. Okay, so if you want to have logs for all the queries that are being done, like I'm using NS lookup to query against the request, right? If I want to log all these querying and NS lookup request and all those things, I can go and configure the query logs so that I can get all the different logs stored in Amazon S3. But again, that is additional charges. And as I told you, you can have 2 different zones with the same name. Okay, for example, AWS with stan.tk. This is my internal AWS only zone, and I can just call it as private hosted zone. And I can choose which region I want to use. I want to use it in East US. Okay, and I can select the VPC, default VPC, and create the zone. Okay, so you can have the same name or same domain name for internal and internet facing. So you can have a split zone also. So you can have 2 domain zones, hosted zones created with the same name, but it cannot be the same type. It can be public and private. You can have internal and internet facing. Okay, so the internal facing is for the systems that are in your VPC. Okay, so any questions on that? I'm seeing someone coming out of mute, but I am not able to hear you.
For that internal, do we have to
Yeah.
pay for that? Or?
Yeah, so internal you don't have to. Okay, ideally you don't have. I mean, in whatever cases for creating a hosted zone, there is a charge. Okay, it's a 50 cents per month. Okay, it's a very less charge, but there is a small charge. Okay, and for queries and all, you need not pay for that. Only if it is internet facing, and if you are sending some data outside of AWS region, then you have to pay for it. But if you are having millions of queries that are being done, then there are some minimal charges that they will add up. Okay, that's what I showed you in the PPT here, right? So the charges are based on the number of queries also. If your queries are going beyond 1 lakh and other things, then you might be asked to pay a little additional amount. But there are some minimal charges. Okay, this is the charging.
But that's only for external, right? Not for internal.
Yeah, so for outside, correct? For outside of a region, yes.
Okay, and one
Okay,
more
but
thing,
if
that
you are
naming
enabling,
server you have. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead. So if you are using additional logs, if you are enabling additional logs, you want to have the query logs, or if it is internal or external query logs, you need a storage space to store all the logs. Okay, so definitely for that, you need to have a, I mean, it will have a additional pricing for that. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
And that naming servers automatically it creates four naming servers. Like it's kind of a
Yeah,
load
by
balancer.
default it is, yeah, it's a load balancing. By default, it will have a 4 namespace server, correct?
Oops.
Stalin,
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
we purchased a domain from a free site, right?
Correct.
So we registered with the AWS.
Right.
Okay, for example, just if I want to put some content on this domain, for
Okay.
example, it's some shopping site. So assume it
Mm-hmm.
is a shopping site.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to put more content on this to browse the people, those who are
Mm-hmm.
trying to visit my site.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, it needs some storage or something, right?
Right. So
So
see on
where
that other
will
day, yeah, we will put it inside your server only. Okay, in your server you have that IAS or INET page, right? Whatever on the web page, you can create hyperlink and all those things. That's why I told you the other day on light sale concept, right? With light sale, you get
uh,
everything as a bundle. You can go and you'll have some storage space within that, and you can run a readily available web page. So you'll get additional storage space if you want to have 100 GB or whatever. You can add more capacity and host your instances. By default, you'll get a lot of space there, right? What's the space you get? You get around
uh,
20 GB SSD. Okay, and if you want to pay more and get more, you can get up to 640 GB and 640 GB capacity. You can put whatever on the back end. See, if you want to create a WordPress website, or if you want to use some other Drupal and something, you can create a web page and server, and you can add whatever content you want into that particular system. You have access to the server, right? Within the server, you will be storing all the content.
oh, correct. So instead of
Yeah,
paying to Amazon, then we can go for the light sale.
yeah. Light Sail is also Amazon services. Okay,
But
it's
that
it's
is free of
yeah. I
standard
mean, for
cost.
3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Very
three
nice.
months it's
Okay.
free of charges. Yeah, yeah. For 3 months you'll get higher capacity and free of charge. Maybe someone want to try and have a go with the trial and error for first 3 months on your business. You can use without anything from your packet. You can run a service like with Freenom you get domain, and with Lightsail you get a server with a lot of storage capacity, and you can try to run it for 3 months. If it is good, then you can pay some more additional $10 per month, and you can continue your business,
Mm.
or else you can drop off. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Got it.
yeah.
Can we continue with light sail only, like forever?
Yeah, yeah, you can continue forever. See, light style is for light, I mean, for small to mid-size businesses, right? Not for
Yeah.
enterprise. Yeah, so for enterprise, you might need a lot of networking level control. You need to have a lot of security, additional benefits. Like you might need inspector to inspect your vulnerabilities. You might need some guard duty to protect your system. So if you look at network and security, if you want to go beyond the normal network security, then you need AWS, not the light side. Okay, so there are some pros and cons. Last week, some of you asked the right question, but a lot of them are available within LifeSail. But if you just go deep and deeper, maybe the enterprise level benefits might not be available in LifeSail. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I think we are almost done with this one. Okay, I can just go and do the testing also. See, if I want to do some testing, I can also do some simulation to get a response. You need not go and use NS lookup or third-party site. Within AWS Route 53, they also have a test record option. So if someone is new to system administration, you might be confused with the NS lookup command, right? So you can also use the AWS integrated test record option to go and test like NS lookup. Okay, see what exactly you're getting with NS lookup. You can also go and verify it in the internet portal itself. See, for example, I can just go and check name server lookup online. There are a lot of hundreds of sites available. So dnslookup.tool or DNS lookup, you can just go and enter your domain name and AWS with stan.tk. You can just go and do a DNS lookup. It will go and give you the different information about who is maintaining the namespace server, when I have purchased it, who purchased it, all those details you'll be able to get on the internet portal itself. Either you can use the name server lookup. This is the standard one, right? Without cost, you are getting all these things. But if you want to use some online web-based DNS checkup, you can also go and do that. And Amazon also provides an option to test your record. See, for example, I want to test www dot, no, not www, right? It is sss dot aws with stan dot tk, and I can just go and use a resolver IP that is optional. This is a CNAME record, and I can go and get a response. Okay, you can see, okay, AWS triple S hosted zone. Okay, get response. Triple S AWS with standard TK. Record name is optional. Okay, 1 second. I should not enter the complete thing there. It will, okay, now it is getting a response. So I've entered the complete, it's checking on the zone name already. Okay, it has got the zone name already. I just need to enter the record name. Record name means it should be only the left side record details. Like for example, I should enter only the record name, not the entire fully qualified name. So you can test the records within the AWS console itself or Route 53 console itself. And I can go and configure the query logging. This is additional charge. Okay, you can go and configure all the logs, whatever NS lookup or whatever queries different people are doing. It is for troubleshooting purpose. You can go and configure it, but that will charge you more. You have to pay additional charges for that. Okay. You also have the test record option. Okay, so are we good with Route 53? Any question on Route 53? Okay, let me go and save the file. Okay, my machine is behaving weird these days. Let me save it. AWS Route 53, 19 March 2022. Okay, let me save it. Okay, let me check if I have missed any important points. Okay, now let's talk about little advanced topic on the Route 53. Okay, within Route 53, we have a concept called routing policy. This is DNS based load balancers, routing policies. Okay, so there are multiple routing policy that are available. Okay, the default routing is the simple routing, which when you go and enter one record, and if you go and have multiple IP addresses, it will go and automatically redirect based on a round robin concept. If you have one entry with multiple IP address for that particular system, it will automatically work like a round robin, meaning, see, if you have one particular www.example.com, it will automatically go and connect. If you have multiple IP address, okay, you have server 1, server 2, server 3 with the same web page, it will automatically go and redirect that first user to first server, second server, third server, and it will work in a round robin method. That is the default simple routing method. And the second concept is called weighted routing method. So weighted routing method, people will use it in different use cases in application aspect or from on-premises hybrid cloud concept. For example, if you have an hybrid cloud approach, okay, for example, I have a on-prem DNS and I have a cloud DNS. I will redirect maybe 60% to on-premises DNS server and 40% of the request should go to my cloud DNS server. I can have a weighted routing, or I can have a weighted load balancing. In other cases, maybe someone will have a UAT or a test environment, and they can have a production environment. And if they want the end user, like maybe they want to give some 10% of the end user traffic to a QA environment, you can send 10% of the end user to QA platform, and the remaining 90% you can send it to production. And you can gradually increase the weight so that you can test whether the new application is having any issues or bugs or whatever, so that you don't have to completely send all the production users to the new modified website or application. So application team might use it for different use cases. They might be using it for switch over from non-prod to prod, or they might use for if there is a disaster on-prem, they will be automatically redirected to the cloud cloud system. So the weightage can be in percentage. They will be giving the weightage in percentage, and based on the weightage, automatically the end users will be redirected to the respective system, either to the non-prod or the production or on-premises or the cloud. You can also configure between two different cloud also. If you have AWS and Azure, two different systems using the same website or same application, 50% of the traffic can be sent to AWS, 50% can be sent to Azure, something like that. So that is weighted routing. The next option is latency-based routing. So different people will be using from different location. So for example, if I am accessing from India, I might have the same application available across the globe. I might have server in Singapore, I might have server in US and UK and so on. So based on the location I am accessing, the latency will be different to different system. So based on the network latency, automatically it will take me to the nearest system which is having lowest millisecond latency. Okay, so if I'm accessing from India, it will redirect me to India server. Similarly, if someone is accessing from Singapore, they will be redirected to Singapore system, something like that. Okay, it is purely based on the network latency. Okay, so this is purely based on the network latency. And if you have a cluster configuration, or if you have a system with two different or three different systems, you can go and configure failover routing. So if there is a issue with my primary system, it can redirect to my active failover system or passive system. If I have a multiple server, if I have two different systems, one active system and one passive system, if the active system goes down, I can redirect the request to the passive system. This is like a failover concept. If you have one big system, and if the system, if you want to avoid downtime, you can have two different systems created, and one can be a smaller size, and you can increase the configuration of the system when the primary system goes down. Okay, so you can redirect the traffic like active passive concept, like a clustering concept. Okay, like failover routing. The next option is geolocation routing. This is a very interesting option. For example, you can say if the users are from US, they will be going to US server. Similarly, if users are from UK, they will go to UK server. So based on the geographical location, based on the compliancy requirement, a lot of different organization, they will have different content for different people. Okay, the policies and the file that they are looking at might be little different. So based on the compliance requirement or legal requirement or localization requirement, you can go and redirect those users to the local language website or the local language server. Okay, so that is something geolocation. I'll show you where exactly these options are. And I have something called multi-value option. Okay, that is based on the network subnet. You can go and allow specific subnet to go to specific server, specific IP address to go to specific system. You can configure it at the network IP address level. So all these options are available within your Route 53. If I go and create a record, here you have the routing policy. Okay, this is what I'm talking about now. Okay, so when I go and create a record, I can select it as a simple routing or weighted routing or geo routing or latency or failover and multi-value. So these are the different type of routing policies that are available when I go and create a DNS record in AWS platform. Okay, so on a high level, theoretically, you guys are able to follow this. Any questions so far? Okay, interesting. Let me go and create some couple of records and show you practically. Okay, I want to let's create geolocation. Okay, so I want to let's say if someone is accessing www.awsstand.tk, I can choose let's say North America and no health check. I don't want to give any health check. I can just say this is US location server, and I can just use the US location IP here, and I can paste it. Okay, let me create the record. Similarly, if someone is accessing from different location, for example, if they're accessing it from UK location or some other region, from Asia server, I can redirect them to some other location. See, I don't have any website on this server. Okay, let me go and create something on this particular site. I'll go and install IIS. I can also go and create some couple of Amazon systems. I'll do that. Okay, let me add one more server in AWS itself. But meanwhile, I got a server here where I can go and install IIS quickly. I can also use this in the demo. Okay, let this get created. Meanwhile, I'll go and create one more instance in a different region. I'll go and create in Mumbai. I'll go and launch an instance. Okay, public. One second, guys. Let me reshare my screen. I'll just okay. I already have that here somewhere. Let me go and use that cloud in its script so that I don't have to spend time in installing the package and all those things. Cloud init. Yeah, I can also use this. So I can just give this as welcome to Azure with Stan Apache web server in Asia server. Next. Okay, I can allow the HTTP traffic because it is web server. I can also limit those connections only to the specific location that I'll just say Mumbai, March 2022. Okay, let's wait. So I created a couple of IAS server additional just for practical purpose, for practical requirement. I can just close this. I can go to this particular location and I can just configure. So I will just call this as EMEA server, okay? Some UK server, just for an example. Okay, I can just call it as UK. Okay, I'll also go and allow the networking traffic on the security group. Okay. Okay, fine. Now this is also available as a web server. So I will use this for UK. Okay, if someone is accessing from UK location, Europe, I can just go and redirect them to Europe server. Okay, create record. Okay, perfect. So now I also have one another server which I created for Europe. Sorry, what is that? Asia. Okay, this is the server, right? I copy the IP address. I'll create that record also. If someone is connecting from Asia, they will be redirected to Asia server. Okay, create record. So now I have got three different systems hosted on three different region, but ideally in real time, it will be all the same web page. Okay. So, but it will be hosted on the local region. That is the different thing. But here I want to show the lab. I want to see, I mean, make you understand that the requests are going to different server, but in real time, all the three server will be identical. They will have the same exact content. Now I can just go and check the www. Entry. So it is going to one IP for now. It should go to multiple systems shortly. So let me go and check from my system www.awswithstan.tk. From India, it should go to Asia. Perfect. Okay. So from US, this is the server which is in US, right? So this server should get the US page www. I'm using the same name. Okay. It is going to US server, the default, the US one. Similarly, if I am accessing, okay, let me show you in a different way so that you guys understand that concept easily. I'll go to the proxy site, GeoPeaker, and I will use the www.awswithstan.com or stan.tk. And now this GeoPeaker is going to access the web page from different locations, from Singapore, some from Brazil, from North Virginia, from California, Ireland, and Australia. So based on the location, it should redirect to different locations. See, from US, it is going to AWS to Azure, which is the East US server, the US server. Similarly, from Ireland, it is going to UK server. From California in US, it is going to US server. Similarly, in Singapore, it is going to Asia server. Okay, from Brazil, it will not go to anywhere because South America, I have not allowed anything. Similarly, Australia, Oceania, I have not allowed anything. See, if I want to allow Australia to access the same Asia server, the same one here, right? It's Asia is here. Okay, if I want to use that, I can go and add another route here. So if I want to allow Oceania, Australia comes under Oceania, right? So Oceania, this is like Australia web server. I can use the same server, okay? Same Asia server also here. So what is the Asia server IP? This is, okay, Asia server is in this one. Copy. I am redirecting the Australia users also to the same Asia location. Similarly, I can also redirect. You can redirect different geographic also. See, for example, Brazil is close to US, right? But if I want to redirect it to UK, I can do it. Okay, see, for example, I want to redirect the South America users, like South America server. If I want to redirect them to UK, I can also do that. See here, I'll just copy the IP address, and any users from South America, they will be going to this particular UK server. Save it. Okay, now if
And
I
I
go
think
and refresh
there
this,
should be SSS, right? You give W.
no, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so yeah, that is fine. So here I'm going to refresh it. So now Brazil should go to which one? UK. Okay, I should get UK here. Similarly, in Australia, I should get Asia. It takes some time. Okay, we have just added the record a minute back. Maybe it will wait for a minute and it will come back. Let's give it a minute. Okay, we should not Okay, all are www. Oceania, Asia, Europe, South America, North America. Okay, so IP address is correct. Oh, okay. Okay, this is North America. Okay, fine. Okay, let's give it a minute. Okay, it should work. www.awsstand.tk.
Then under same, routing, if you give multiple IP addresses for same location, say now you're given for UK, you're given a separate IP like this. Say for UK, you have multiple web server and you're giving it 3 or 4 of the same values. Then that inside Europe, it will go for round robin method. That is how it will work, right? Or
Correct. So you will instead of giving the IP address of your individual servers, you will give the load balancer IP address in the record. Okay, automatically it will take you to the system on the load balancer. Based on the load balancer algorithm, it will redirect you to different systems in that particular geographical region. Clear? Yeah. So now here, okay, still Australia, Oceania is not responding back. That's fine. Okay, so here you can see based on the network latency, also you can change it. Okay, so if I want to create a record based on the network latency, I don't know why the Brazil is not responding. Did I add something wrong for South America? Edit record www.awsstand.tk 2025 79 160 geolocation South America. Okay, I don't see any issues. Okay, it will take some time. Okay, so it will work. Okay, you guys are understanding me, right? You can just from the geographical location, if someone is accessing from South America, it will go to the respective nearest server, whatever you have given here. So based on the regional language or localization or whatever, you might have different servers with different home page, right? So at least the front page content will be different. So you can use the routing policy option within AWS to redirect the users. Similarly, if I want to change this, for example, I want to edit the record. I want to change the routing type. Instead of geolocation, I can change it to latency. So based on the latency, I can change the systems. Okay, from Sydney, I should go to Australia server. Okay, let me close this. There are already record with the same thing. Instead of creating problems, I can just go and create new records. Okay, let me go and create new records. And you can give different routing. See, for example, I'll say www.awsstand.com. It can go to this IP address. You can just give it as a latency routing. So based on the network latency, you will be automatically redirected. Okay, so I'll say anyone coming from Asia Pacific, Singapore, okay, Sydney, will go to that IP. And okay, this is Asia server. Similarly, you can add multiple records, www.awsstand.com. You can take them to UK server. If someone is accessing from UK, they will be okay, London, Europe. What was the location we were getting in Ireland, right? Not London. Yeah, Ireland. I'll choose Ireland. Here. Okay, just understand the theoretical part. Okay, this is all easy to implement. Okay, I'll say this is Europe server, and you can create more records as you want. So here, automatically based on the network latency, it will take you to the respective systems. Okay, from that particular differentiator. Okay, so you can have latency based routing to redirect the user based on the network latency. See, if I'm accessing from specific network, based whichever server which is accessible with lowest millisecond, it will connect me to that. See, from US, it is connecting to US server in 1 millisecond because the server is also in US. So it can reach it in 1 millisecond. Similarly, like if it is trying from Ireland to London, it might be little, there might be little latency. If it is accessing from California to North Virginia, there will be little more latency there. So you guys are able to follow me, right? So let me refresh now. Oh, I think I removed all the record, right? It will, let's see. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Now everything based on my entry, it is going to UK. Okay, based on the network latency, Singapore alone is going to Asia and Australia is going to Asia, and remaining all the locations are going to UK based on the network latency. I've created only 2 records. Okay, one Asia record and one UK record. So the locations which are closer to UK, so California from US, Ireland from US, sorry, Ireland from UK region, Brazil from North America, South America, Virginia from North America, all these are going to UK. But if you look at here, the latency is different. Okay, it's 67, 69, 116, and this one from Singapore is going to Asia server, and Australia is also going to Asia server. See, this web page is this one. Okay, I am not sure if you guys saw that web page. This is the web page we are seeing there. Okay, welcome to Azure with Stan, Apache Web Server.Asia. That is what we are seeing in the GeoPicker tool here. Okay, let me try to zoom in. I'm not sure if it is possible. Okay, so you can see here, right? Welcome to Azure with Stan, Apache Web Server Asia. That is the page we are seeing here in Australia also. Clear? You're able to follow that? Any questions on the topic? In Azure, we call it as a traffic manager. We have a separate solution called a traffic manager, which is a DNS-based load balancer. In AWS, they have integrated that into Route 53 itself. Oh, Vimal, you have joined. Okay, good. Thank you for confirmation. Okay. Any questions on the Route 53 and these topics? Policy, Route 53, records, pricing. Maybe let me check the slide if there are any specific maybe I'll copy the theory part so that you guys can refer it. Okay, simple routing is simple. It will go to different systems. Weighted routing, as I told you, you can use it for non-prod and production environment, something like traffic redirection for testing. And latency based is based on the network latency, and geolocation is based on the geographical region. Simple as that. Okay, based on the geolocation routing can be used. Based on the network latency, you can use network based routing. Based on the weightage percentage, you can use weighted routing. So 10 users can go to first server, 20 users can go to second server, and so on. Simple routing is round robin. Okay, it will redirect to different systems in a round robin fashion. Okay, well, let's delete all these things. It will not allow me to delete until I go and delete the manual record that I created. It will say that there are a lot of manual record. You have to go and delete all the record except the default record. Only then I'll be able to delete. Okay, let me go and delete the manually created record. After deleting this, it will allow me to go and delete the zone. Okay, delete this. Okay, we are already on 7:30. Now let's go and talk about the VPN concept. Okay, so before the break, we'll